My name is Lyris Ming. I lived here for about 45 years and I've seen a lot of changes.
They say that rent stabilization protects against displacement, and we know for a fact that it doesn't. We know that from our plaintiffs, and we know that from our experience representing people who are faced with potential eviction every day. In the case of each of these proposals, the concerns that were voiced by the community and are echoed in our lawsuits is that the surrounding community is going to be negatively impacted because the people coming into the neighborhoods are going to be of a higher income than the community that lives there. The city said it's not enough of an impact to do an in-depth investigation into the displacement of tenants in the neighborhood. Specifically, rent-stabilized tenants are excluded from the analysis.
I came here when I was 8 years from Trinidad. When I moved in the neighborhood, it was completely different. The building itself was superior. The lobbies used to be clean. Now they're not really fixing anything in the apartment unless you actually get a lawyer or go towards the city. We got about 40 buckets of water from this leak. This could have caused an electrical fire. Water was coming into my door from the roof, and I complained to them several times about it. We're not getting any work done, and it's like a fight.
Our clients who live in Crown Heights in East Harlem have lived in their apartments for generations. And what they've experienced is a pattern where landlords fail to make repairs in an effort to ensure that tenants will relocate in search of better housing.
Market pressures do affect rent-regulated landlords. There's these huge loopholes in the rent stabilization laws, namely that when you turn an apartment over, you can do improvements in the apartment, hike up the rent, and it deregulates the apartment. So for that reason alone, the fact that the rezonings are going to introduce higher income people into the neighborhood puts a pressure on the rent-stabilized tenants and the landlords of their buildings to deregulate their apartments.
The Bedford Armory is a terrible idea because it's not helping the people in the neighborhood.
We've watched rezonings across the city, including those in Williamsburg, which have accelerated gentrification and caused rents to increase and caused a loss of rent-regulated apartments as people flee the community because they can no longer afford it.
East Harlem was rezoned in 2003 to allow developers to build higher than the normal 5 or 6 story buildings that we had here. Now the city is providing even more incentives to developers, and that's definitely going to exacerbate gentrification. We're already seeing a lot of tenant harassment or buyouts or pushouts, capital improvements, vacancy decontrols. People are being pushed out, absolutely.
In East Harlem, there was a several-year-long process in which the city engaged a steering committee that included a lot of community organizations to provide input.
People did not want the rezoning, and they said this over and over again at the planning meetings, at the community board meetings, at the city council.
Many community members came out against the ultimate plan as it was proposed because they were anticipating the gentrification and displacement that would come.
Mi nombre es Gladys Ordóñez y tengo 24 años viviendo en este edificio.
My name is Gladys Ordóñez, and I've been living in the building for 24 years.
Cuando comenzaron a construir, le tocó mucha gente salir de los apartamentos.
He came to us and told us you have to leave and offered us some money to leave, and we said no, we don't want to leave. So he began constructing around us. We met with the landlord, and the landlord was like, I want them to leave. The building's half empty. I'm going to rehab the building. He ripped out the stairs. Our clients were away working. When they came in the afternoon, he was waiting out here and said, "You can't come in."
Siempre, por lo menos a mí, me está extorsionando, se dice. Usted me debe más dinero, usted tiene mucho tiempo aquí.
At that time, that's when we contacted the legal aid, and the folks at the legal aid told us, "Don't leave. You don't have to leave."
And without tenants who know of their rights and have the ability to advocate on their own behalf, people feel pressured to leave prior to being able to take advantage of the laws that are currently in place.
His goal is, I won't do any repairs, so they have to leave. And then once the apartments are empty, I'll gut rehab them and rent them at whatever price I can get.
I'm really scared for the poor that live in the neighborhood because, most of them that I speak to, they just feel like they're just being pushed out of the neighborhood.
The city neglects these populations in doing its analyses because it doesn't look good politically to put on paper that the actions that the city is taking is going to result in displacement of long-term tenants. It's been happening in Crown Heights for a long time. It's been happening in East Harlem, and both of these actions will accelerate that trend. Our lawsuit wants the city to do an honest analysis when land use proposals are put to the public for review. We want them to lay out the real displacement risks and to consider possible mitigations of that risk. That's what the law requires, and we're saying that they haven't followed the law.